All right, friends, we are streaming live, and this is Peggy Hall from the Healthy American Morning. I'm glad that you're here with me to kick off your morning. And today is Thursday, October 7th, and it is 2021. Yes, we are in the fall of 2021. And yesterday on the show, the sponsor, or the day before, the sponsor was preparewithpeggy.com. And I am prepared, and I am preparing especially for the winter. Even though I live in California, you never know when they're going to shut off this electricity. So anyway, we are really in the swing of fall, and there are pumpkin patches going up. And yesterday on the live stream, in the afternoon, we did a special episode of the Freedom Learning Open House. Give me a thumbs up if you saw that. Well, I hope everybody gives a thumbs up, because when you hit that like button, it actually gets this video popping up in the stream of other live videos. And we want everybody to find the Healthy American Morning, because this is all about positivity and possibility. We leave all of those current events behind, and we'll talk about that later today at 3 p.m. on Peggy to the Rescue, where we roll up our sleeves and we get all of those resources and remedies and solutions and strategies to help you fight oppression. Today in the morning, we just want to leave that behind. We are going to talk about keeping your mind, your heart, your emotions uplifted so that you will be able to handle whatever those oppressors throw at you. A big thank you. We've got Rhonda and DB and KP online for our moderators, and I do appreciate your help here keeping that stream flowing. And before we dive into the topic today, which is about regret. And let me know in a comment if you have ever experienced regret. Remember, all emotions are valid. It's not that it's a bad emotion or a wrong emotion, but sometimes these can actually keep us under the waves, and we want to keep our head above the waves. So we're going to talk all about that. I've got a personal experience where I changed the way I was looking at something, and instead of regret, I felt relief. How about that? We're going to replace regret with relief, which is a much better feeling for me, and that's what I'm going to choose to feel. Before we do that, let me give a shout out to the sponsor of this show. So we've got the Healthy American Morning is sponsored by glowwithpeggy.com. I'm going to hop right on over there, and I want to bring you a message from the sponsor, which is surveys show 35% of people don't think their anti-aging cream works. The truth is, the anti-aging industry is filled with exaggerated claims, but there is a secret. The secret is Glow with Peggy. And you can see here, the product is called Ageless Glow, and the website is glowwithpeggy.com. And this is one of the best anti-aging serums I have ever tried. I began to look and feel younger in no time after routinely using it. Thousands of Glow with Peggy users all over America experience the same. And I thank you for sharing your experience with me. I highly recommend Glow with Peggy. Try it today for 38% off by going to www.glowwithpeggy.com or by visiting the link below. It is the Healthy American Morning, and I just want to start the day off with my heart uplifted, with my mind clear, with my emotions and my energy ready to handle whatever comes up. Some people say, there you go again, Peggy, trying to say that positive thinking is going to solve everything. I've never said that. And what I do say is that you can choose to control your thoughts. And when you control your thoughts, then the emotions that follow from those thoughts are going to be influenced by those thoughts. And if you are feeling despair, if you are feeling depressed, if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you are feeling frustrated, angry, I get it. I feel all of those things too. There's nothing wrong with feeling those emotions. In fact, I have a whole program that I would like you to get for free over at peggyhall.tv. Thank you for dropping that in a comment. Peggyhall.tv is the ad-free video platform that I have, and it is censorship free. And I'm just about to upload a video all about, I don't want to get into current events. You'll just have to hop on over and see. We're keeping the current events for later this afternoon at Peggy to the Rescue, 3 p.m. Pacific time. That's Monday through Friday. But what I want to tell you is that you can get this free 3-part series. It's called Healing Broken Relationships. And step 1 is to feel your own emotions and to release your own emotions so that you are not stuck in feelings of anger, frustration, bitterness, regret is what we're going to talk about today. So when I talk about keeping your mind on a positive trajectory, it's actually more about choosing the thoughts you want to think and choosing the feelings that you want to experience, processing those, expressing them, releasing them so that you can then move ahead in your life. That's what I want to talk about today. Now, the reason this is called the Healthy American, when I started this a year and a half ago, when all this hogwash started, as I call it, I wanted to focus on the healthy aspect of living. We were being told that we were sick without even knowing it, that you could be killing somebody by breathing on them. There I go, I'm drifting into the current events. But I wanted to put the focus on healthy. Now, for the last 20 years, I've been in the health and wellness industry. Many of you don't know that about me because I've been so focused on current events and the laws and legalities and, your rights. And that is also a part of my background. My background is in political science, has been a fascination of mine, of societies and how they work and government systems. I just am that way. I've traveled the world. I've lived in other countries. I'm fascinated by other cultures. So that is a very important aspect of my life. But equally important is living a natural, healthy lifestyle. My mom was an RN. I'm going to tell you some stories about that in upcoming shows. And today's show has to do with my mom. She was an RN in the emergency room. These ER nurses, they're a different breed. All right. My mom was what I call a prickly pear. And, she was tough on the outside and then had the soft inner heart, but she did not allow that to come to the surface when she was dealing with matters of life and death and getting people all patched up and literally helping them survive whatever they went through. And that's the nature of emergency room medicine. It's a triaging. It's who's going to die first and let's take care of them first. And it's very practical, very down to earth. And she did have a caring, tender side to her, but her type of nursing was not like in, other departments like intensive care or something where you're one nurse sitting at the bedside of someone and bringing them comfort, or a hospice nurse, or even somebody working in a doctor's office where you saw the same patients again and again. That was not her kind of nursing. So I grew up with the idea of you want to stay as far away from medicine as possible. She knew what went on in these hospitals and with these doctors and with long-term medications and all that. And she didn't want any part of it, which was ironic because she was in the medical field. Maybe it wasn't ironic. Maybe she used that to her advantage. Growing up, we never went to the doctor. Not like on any, I don't even remember going to the doctor. So it was much more of a natural, holistic approach to life. Now, you may say, well, that's because you had a nurse for a mom and she knew how to take care of you. You're absolutely right. It was a wonderful advantage. And I'm so grateful that I had that in my upbringing. And that has helped inform my outlook of a natural, healthy approach to living. And that's why it's called the Healthy American. So it's not just about the politics and rights, but it's about living a healthy, natural lifestyle. And that, in my view, really begins in your mind. Because I have an outlook and an attitude that my body seeks to be well. My mind seeks to be well. I'm not looking for every instance of being sick and aha, there it is. There's a symptom. I better get it checked out. Now, I'm not giving you any medical advice whatsoever. I have had traditional therapies and surgeries and things that were amazing. I'll tell you about that in a future show. I had to have a hand surgery and how I put that off for so long, thinking I could just do, icing. It didn't work. I had to have the actual traditional style. And I had a kitty cat that had to have a veterinarian treatment that I really didn't want to do, but it turned out to be perfect for her. So we'll talk about that another time. But the point that I'm getting at is when I talk about the healthy American, it's your mind, it's your body and your mind and your emotions. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Well, that was a long introduction. Let's see what's going on in the stream. We're going to talk about replacing regret with relief. Donna said that she was a nurse aide at a hospital and then a home care provider, and very rewarding. Oh my gosh, Donna. I sort of served as a nurse to my mom in her final few weeks. And it is a very demanding experience, and it's also very fulfilling, as you say, very rewarding. And DB says there are a lot of scientists with integrity who do want to find solutions. Warning signs such that knows 2 RNs who will, okay, I don't want to get into that right here. But thank you for your comments. Fadista said that her mom was a nurse also at the local hospital where she was born, and she was a big natural health advocate and had many home remedies. That is so cool. I want to share all those. You know, we can't, the strange thing is on this platform, we can't even talk about too many home remedies because they are also censoring all of that. But what I want to talk to you about today is how to replace regret with relief. And I'm going to tell you about a personal story. I shared a couple of days ago that I shed some tears earlier this week, and tears of grief over loss and sadness. And I also shed tears for these hundreds, if not thousands. I mean, I've got 125,000 subscribers just here on my newsletter, which I hope everybody goes to, thehealthyamerican.org. I've got about 250,000 subscribers on that newsletter. And then my backup channel, I think, has about 25,000 or 30,000 subscribers. And the reason I share these numbers is because it reminds me of how many people that I'm reaching and how many of you I pray for and how many of your stories touch my heart. And I grieve for you as well. So we'll talk about the remedies and solutions to that later this afternoon. And I encourage everybody to check out all of my playlists with my just dozens and dozens and dozens of videos where I answer your questions. And I will show you that a little bit later on the website. Many teachers are leaving their jobs and they're going into freedom learning, which is something that I specialize in as well. As a teacher for the last 30 years at higher education, I love to teach teachers how to teach. But I tell you, shedding those tears, while it was painful, it was very helpful for me. It was a physical, visceral experience of loss and grief and pain, and there's nothing wrong with that. So when I talk about having a PMO, positive mental outlook, it's about choosing ways to look at experiences in life so that they're not going to drown you. They're not going to pull you under. My aunt used to say, so you don't get carried off in the river of pain. You can hop in the river for a while and then jump out of that river of pain, dry yourself off. You don't have to live in it forever. So one of the triggers, I'll use that word, for my tears was, I think, a compilation of losses. Have you ever experienced that, where it's like, oh my gosh, I went through this, I went through that, I went through this, I went through that, and finally it's all piled up, and before you know it, the dam breaks and you're in tears and you're crumpled on the floor maybe, or crying in someone's arms, which I really highly recommend getting support for that, having a comforting person listen to you as you cry. It's very, very important for men also to shed the tears. And in that free series, How to Heal Your Broken Relationships, I have, like a 35-minute program all about releasing the emotions. So I was releasing my emotions. And I was teetering on that verge of regret. I wish I hadn't have taken this action. But it was already a done deal. And I had already taken the action. And I even went so far to see if I could unravel it. Have you ever done that, where you're like, oh, I did this, but let me see if I can reel it back in and put the toothpaste back in the tube? That's another natural human emotion. And even that, in my experience, I think is based on fear. Let me explain why. If we make a choice that we then regret, for me, it often is tied to fear of the future. Oh no, I did that. And now this might happen. And now this might happen. And I wish I hadn't done that. And for me, I realized that regret is actually based in fear sometimes. Sometimes it's based in wisdom, like, okay, I'm smarter now because next time I'll do things differently. And that's another helpful phrase that I will use is, next time I'll do things differently. We talked about that on the show. This happened, and instead of wallowing in it, let's create a thought of, what can I do now? What am I going to do with this? Now what? What's next? So those are helpful thoughts for me, and they help me focus on the future, which was what we talked about yesterday or the day before. So, friends, I'm going to be pausing or actually stopping the stream if you guys are talking about all the current events. That's not the place for this. It actually detracts and distracts. Part of having it live instead of me just making a video is that I want you to interact and support and encourage each other. So the moderators are going to not engage with anybody who is talking about current events and all of that, and they're going to delete your comments. So moderators, delete those comments that are asking about stuff in the current events. We're not talking about that here. If you guys are new to the Healthy American, welcome. 10 a.m. show is all about positivity. You want to talk about all this stuff, that's 3 p.m. I welcome the naysayers. I welcome everybody on here. But this is for you to help create a positive mental outlook. I also call it the Healthy American attitude, so that you'll be able to handle all these current events that you're grumbling about. This isn't the place for it. So it's like you tuned into a cooking show and you want to talk about gardening. Go to a different channel, please. Please go to a different channel if that's what you need to do this morning. All right. Yes, I love my Healthy Americans here on board, but it's distressing to me to see that even for 25 minutes, people are having a struggle with staying positive. I'm asking you for 25 minutes in the morning to stay positive and to leave all that behind. So thank you, everybody. Moderators have free reign to delete comments without a warning if they are not related to our topic at hand, which is replacing regret with relief. All right, a little tough love for you, friends. Yeah, I have the option of just uploading videos. And I did that for the last year and a half, and many of you wanted the live, and I love the lives. There are challenges, as you've just seen, but really appreciate that. Thank you. Here we go. Oh my gosh, friends. Would you let me know in a comment if you have had an experience that you regretted that later turned out to be good? That's what I want to talk about. I know I opened the door a little bit talking about a couple things, but we're going to focus on the positive. So a few years ago, after my mom passed away, we were faced with either keeping her home or selling her home. Selling a home is a very emotional experience for many people, including myself. And we were looking for every possible opportunity to keep that house, to rent it, to live in it ourselves, to sell our other house and then go move there. We looked at every single, maybe just leave it empty. We looked at every possibility and we went back and forth on these possibilities. We listed it for sale. Then we decided, no, we don't want to sell it. We're just going to rent it. And then we decided, no, we don't want to rent it. We're just going to keep it. Then we decided, no, we don't want to keep it. We're going to sell it. All of these emotions. And it wasn't just one person making the decision. It wasn't just me. There were others involved. And all of these emotions and all of the ups and downs, and not only dealing with that, but dealing with the loss of my mom. And I know many of you have had losses of loved ones, losses of jobs, of homes, of your health, of situations, relationships. And it was an all-consuming experience for me. And thank you, Fran. She said that she is feeling consumed by everything, and it is hard to stay positive. And I'm glad you're doing the work, Fran. When you choose your thoughts, you can stay positive. So the thoughts that I was choosing during that whole house thing was, this is overwhelming. What if I make the wrong choice? What if I make the wrong choice? What if this is the wrong thing to do? And that was keeping me overwhelmed. That was keeping me gripped in fear. And it's so interesting because we finally decided to sell it. And it's almost as if when my mom died, the house started, and it wasn't almost as if the house started falling apart. Literally, as after my mom passed away, amazing, incredible, unusual, and unbelievable things started to happen in that empty house. The curtains literally started to dissolve, not fray and not get holes in them. The fabric became dust. Have you ever heard of that before? I was in my mom's, one of the spare bedrooms that she used as an office. And as I was in there cleaning out some of her papers and materials, and I'm going to share with you some heavenly hugs in an upcoming show of things that brought me comfort. As I'm doing that, some of the blinds, she had what were called louvers, like they moved. Some of the blinds literally started to fall off on the floor as I was in her office. I went into her bedroom. A lamp had fallen off her nightstand on the floor. Luckily, it didn't break. It literally fell down off the nightstand. I sat down on her bed, and I don't weigh that much. I'm a normal weight. I sat down on her bed, and the mattress collapsed. I mean, it felt like a spring had broken that I had never known of before. So the house literally started to grieve. In my view, I know houses don't grieve, but the house itself was falling apart. That's what it seemed to me. We had a balcony. We had a deck, not a balcony. We had a complete deck overlooking, built up on the second floor. And it had been rebuilt about, maybe 8 or 10 years previously. And we noticed a couple of the boards getting loose. Oh my gosh, we better put that in the home inspection report as we're selling this, because that deck is looking a little rickety. And we've got the house for sale, and we're cleaning it out, and all these crazy things are happening. And yeah. So as the days go by, checking in on the house, keeping everything going, we enter escrow. The house has been sold. It's been sold now. We're in a contract. And when you have that contract, you're selling the house in the condition that it was when you sign that contract. Rex says that my mom's energy was not there anymore to keep believing in her home. Oh my gosh, Rex, I just love that expression. The other thing, I'm getting chills right now. Whew. Good chills, God chills. After my mom passed away and before we sold the house, we had a lot. It was a gathering place. So that's where the birthdays were. Even though my husband and I lived elsewhere, we would celebrate our birthdays at my mom's house, and the friends would come over there, and the holidays and the Mother's Days and the Thanksgivings. And that was the gathering place. And it had a beautiful layout for people to come and be welcomed. And after we even celebrated other people's birthdays there. And out of town, our relatives would come and they would stay there because we, the kids, were not living there any longer. So there were empty bedrooms. So she hosted a lot of my friends, even came and stayed with her just in the recent years. And so many warm and wonderful memories. And after my mom passed away and we were grieving deeply, and before we'd put the house on the market, so all the furniture and everything was still there, we invited a friend, and we were going to have his birthday there. And it was kind of sad because even though everything was the same, it wasn't the same. My mom wasn't there, and the energy was different. And it was a little bit on the sad list. We also had another gathering of a health and wellness retreat that I was running here in San Clemente. And we had the whole group. So we had about 20 people come over to my mom's house again, which was now, she was no longer there before we sold it. And because we kept the house for a few months before we were getting it ready. And even though it was filled with laughter and love and cooking and sharing, there was something missing, and it was my mom. And that's when I knew I'm trying to hold on to the house because I'm trying to hold on to my mom. And even if I had kept that house, I still would not have my mom with me. And I needed to grieve the loss of my mom and grieve the loss of the childhood home as well. So here's where the story gets interesting. We enter into the contract. The house has been sold. It's in escrow. And my husband and I, Pastor David and I, go to check on things. The entire balcony had collapsed, and it was now in the backyard. The entire second story balcony, not a balcony, a patio, a giant patio. The entire thing had collapsed. I got to show you a picture. I got to find a picture, and collapsed on into the backyard. Luckily, nobody was standing on it. Luckily, nobody was hurt. So the house was completely falling apart instantly. It was about a 40-year-old house, but it was in good repair. I mean, it wasn't like it was ramshackle. Everything had been in good repair up till then. Everything was functioning, all the utilities, all the electricity, all the furnace. We had, new water heater, new furnace, new roof. Everything was really well maintained, which was part of the interesting thing for all of this happening. That patio deck had been built like less than 10 years earlier. out of wood. So it was crazy. So when I started to drift into the feelings of regret, like, oh, I wish I had kept my mom's house. We should have kept it. We should have kept it. I think to myself, and I know the family that we sold it to. And I remember that day because I actually was clearing out the house, and the potential owners were coming. Other families had come to look at it, and it was the family that wanted to make an offer, and they were coming to see it again. So I skedaddled out of the house, but I was down the street and I could see who they were. And it was a couple with a 7-year-old son. And I could see the 7-year-old son in the living room because the drapes that were still in operation at that moment, he was twirling in the living room, like had his arms out, and he was spinning around with joy of this new house. And I thought, that's it. This new house for them is going to be filled with joy. This young boy is going to grow up. He's going to have memories just like I did. It's time to have the house go to someone who is going to love it and care for it and take care of it and create their own happy memories. And I, to this day, when I get regretful, I choose to focus on that little boy spinning and twirling with joy in the living room. And that fills me with joy. I was trying to hang on to something that no longer was. Yes, I could live in that house and have the memories. I still have the memories. I don't need the house to have the memories. And my other dear, dear, dear childhood friend, who I know that relationship will be repaired one of these days. I know it. I know it. I haven't heard from her. She hasn't responded in the last year and a half. But anyway, when her mom passed away a couple of years after my mom, she said, I don't even need my mom's stuff. I don't even need heirlooms or, memorabilia from my mom. She said, my mom isn't in her pair of slippers or her bathrobe that her siblings all wanted, and she said, I have my memories. I have that love. I don't need the stuff. We'll talk another time on this show all about decluttering and sentimental items and all of that. Now, let's get to the word relief. Had we kept that home, had we had a party, I told you it was a gathering place. Imagine if someone had been on that patio deck and it had fallen when they were on it and they had an injury. So the what ifs that I look at is, what if we had kept that home, and what if it had been a disaster? What if it had started falling apart and we didn't have the money to fix it? What if it became a financial burden? What if it turned out that some really nasty neighbors moved in? I mean, it's not like I'm fixated on those thoughts, but I will remind myself that path that I didn't take, it may not have been as smooth as I thought it would have been. It may not have been as great as I had hoped it would be. And this new path could have turned out to be the best one ever. This decision of selling the house could have been the best thing ever in my life. Rather than wallow in the regret, I want to feel relief. What a relief. What a relief that experience is now behind me. What a relief that I no longer have to stress and strain and struggle over this decision. What a relief. What a relief that it's done. What a relief that I can move forward now and look at the rearview mirror. We've talked about that. And maybe in the future, when I have that decision to make, I'll look at things differently. What a relief that no one got injured with that destruction, that sudden destruction of the patio deck falling into the backyard. I've got to dig out a photo and show that on a future show. What a relief that this family found their dream home. What a relief. And this was a house that we lived in from day one. It was still being built when my family bought it. The very first night we slept there, we had to sleep on the floor because they hadn't put in all the carpeting in the house yet. And so we were all huddled, a wonderful memory. We were all huddled in my mom and dad's bedroom in the corner, and we had gotten pizza and we were sleeping in sleeping bags. Nothing will ever take that memory away. And tomorrow, you got to tune in tomorrow. You are not going to believe the follow-up story that I'm going to give you on the final day when I said goodbye to this home. You are not going to believe it. Well, maybe you will. It knocked my socks off. And I do want to find this little artifact that I have that I'm going to show you this heavenly hug. And I want to tell you why I know this decision now was confirmed to me by God as the right thing to do. So I'm going to wrap up, friends. Thank you so much for being on board today. Thank you, everybody, for Rick says that he had a life coach for many years in the UK and did sessions remotely. I wonder if that's someone that I know, Rick, or that she passed away last year. Please let me know. You can email me support@thehealthyamerican.org. I would like to know her name. I had a life coach in the UK as well. And Rick says that he feels sad and that he finds these words comforting. She was a fully trained Buddhist. That's very interesting. Please let me know the name of your friend, and I will also pray for your healing in that area. And Forged Equity Project says, strength, diligence, courage, and blessings to you and yours. We are fighting the fight. She did get her religious exemption secured. Thank you for that. All right. The life and memory, DB says, is related to the life the person put in the item. The life is there in our hearts, not the item. The item reminds us of the life. You know, I am one of those people, I do hang on to those things. I have what is the word? A keepsake. That was the word I was looking for. You know, I look at these as keepsakes, and there are some very special things that I do when I have and look at and hold, it immediately transports me back. But I am aware that I cannot keep everything, because it can actually take the focus away from those important items that really are the treasures when you have, that's how I experience it. So, all right, friends. Margaret says, thank you for these mornings of encouragement. I've been struggling with keeping my eyes on Jesus. Yeah, with all of what's going on. I totally understand. And that's why I decided to do this show. You know, for the last year and a half, I've had some epic rants, and they still live. You can see them on this channel. And if you're watching this as a replay on Living Swell with Peggy Hall, that's my backup channel. Can I ask everybody to give me a thumbs up and a like there so we can get a few more likes? This will help the video get out to others that are struggling. And I decided that people needed encouragement and not criticism. So I came out really strongly about a lot of the things that people were complying with, and I still believe that you shouldn't. But I've had a lot of epic rants and a lot of anger and frustration that I've shared. And if you want to see one, I would say one of my all-time best videos, I'm actually wearing the same dress, and it was I think tyranny at the farmer's market, and it should be on the Living Swell channel. I had to take down a lot of the videos off the Healthy American so I don't get strikes. They all are alive and well in the vault at peggyhall.tv. I hope you'll join us there. Yes, I am on Rumble, Telegram, Instagram, Facebook, BitChute. Somebody told me there's an imposter on TikTok. I better go claim my space on TikTok. I love to be everywhere you are. I thank you, everybody, for your support today. I'm going to be back at 3 p.m. for Peggy to the Rescue. That is where you are going to learn. We talked about there's always another way, and I'm going to find it. I want to talk about those of you that have kids in school and you're struggling, your kids are struggling, the college students are struggling. I have a better way for you there. So yes, we'll talk all about religious exemptions, your rights, the laws that protect them. And I want to thank everybody for receiving my tough love today. And I know that some of you are new on the show here, and I welcome you and I value you. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I've got the best audience on YouTube. You guys are smart, savvy, supportive, and that is why we are here. Some folks I know are feeling very isolated, and I know that feeling, and I have gotten a lot of support in some online groups, and that's part of what I want to create here. So if you ever feel the desire to connect with somebody offline and you want to share your text or contact info or whatever, that's absolutely fine here as well. So thanks, everybody. I'm back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Healthy American morning. And it's like, good morning, good morning. That's why I do that little, that's kind of silly, but I like it. And then in the afternoon, 3 p.m., and you never know where I'll be popping up on your other social media platforms. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. And I will see you in the very next